Hello and welcome everyone to the PMO Virtual Summit. We've got Chris Cook here with us, who's going to talk to us about 4 keys to compelling positive action. Now you must be wondering, how does that even relate to you and your PMO? Well, Chris is here to tell us all about it. Welcome to the summit, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
Before I hand it over to you, Chris, I do want to go ahead and tell the audience a bit about you. And then off you go. So for everyone listening and watching us, Chris Cook has spent his career in the construction industry. He has a Bachelor's of Science in Industrial Technology Management with an emphasis in Building Construction Management and Master's of Science in Project Management. He is also an accredited PMP. Chris, welcome again to the summit. Over to you.
Thank you very much. As he stated, this is a presentation about the 4 keys to compelling positive action. In other words, change. So change can mean taking a step back to take a leap forward. I know PMOs deal a lot with change, and these 4 keys should help propel change forward. So 4 of the problems that I will be discussing throughout the presentation and relating those 4 keys to these 4 problems is kind of the overall structure of the presentation itself. So first, undefined goals. So as we all know, what gets measured gets managed. We have all heard, yet some continue to set undefined goals, making managing them extremely difficult. Secondly, lack of accountability. Finger pointing is a popular activity when accountability is non-existent. Third, we have communication. As a project manager or head of a PMO, you can never have enough communication. And it's just communication, communication, communication. It's almost like location, location, location when talking real estate. And lastly, stakeholder engagement. So for a project to succeed, everyone needs to pull their weight in the same direction. One faulty link and the project is weakened. So how do we compel positive actions? This is where those 4 keys come into play. And here are the 4 keys. So the first one is going to be know what to do and how to do it. Problems become easier knowing this tandem of knowing then doing. If you don't know what to do, or you know what to do but don't know how to do it, implementing change is going to be pretty difficult. So that first step is very important in terms of identifying, again, what you need to do, and next, how you need to do it. 2, believing it will work. You could have the best plan in action and the best personnel, and if at the top you're not confident this new plan will work, that feeling and emotion will trickle down to the team. And the person at the top's got to actually think it's going to work. I mean, it sounds kind of obvious, and yeah, you should think that this change is going to bring about positive action and be a good thing for the organization. If you don't believe it'll work, you're kind of going to be spinning your wheels at a time. The third key, see the value in what you're doing. There needs to be a reason for the change, not just change for the sake of because you need to keep you and your team busy. There has to be a value in what you're doing. And 4th, get support from your community. So realizing you're not alone in this decision, that it does take a team to get this positive, compelling action moving forward and gaining momentum. And when you get stuck, realizing it's not all on you to come up with the next best thing, the next greatest solution. You can rely on your team and colleagues and those around you to give you that support when things are seeming difficult and nearly impossible. So for problem 1, undefined goals. And you'll be seeing this cute little child here throughout the presentation, so hopefully you're enjoying his little funny pose there. So upper management cannot agree or support undefined goals. And the examples I'm going to give in this presentation are lesser wait times for patients in terms of healthcare, and increased vendor options for owners in terms of, in my instance, will be a property management sort of owner's rep position. So this first key, know what to do. And for the example of lesser wait times, measure current wait times to evaluate situation. Again, you need to, if it's not measured, you can't manage it. Again, that theme coming up in this bullet point. Next, determining appropriate reduction in wait times. So if it's currently at 30 minutes and to expect your next change to implement to 5 minutes, I would deem not appropriate. So if you can take it from 30 to 25, you kind of have a proof of concept there. And in that proof of concept, you can develop it and start to mature that model, and maybe take it to 20 over time, and 15, and I guess in a perfect world 0, but we're not necessarily living in a perfect world. So again, just reducing that time to in an appropriate range, not going from 0 to 100 right away. So realizing this is going to be a slow process, and again, keeping that appropriate level of expectation in mind. And for more vendors, the example is how many more vendors is sufficient? So if I have 1 or 2, is 3 and 4 going to provide that value that we're going to discuss later, the see the value key? Or is just adding 1 more enough? You don't necessarily need 10 options to choose from. Sometimes 2 and 3 gets you where you need to be. So again, deciding what that addition to vendors, what that number is. Also, what is the cost of adding more versus the benefit to the owner? Sometimes more isn't necessarily better. Again, one and 2 really strong, solid, dependable vendors can be all an owner is needing. And same for the management company as well. They might just need those 1 and 2 who have enough employees where you can turn around a project in or a task in 1 to 2 days, versus sending this request for proposal out to 10 vendors, waiting a week to get back the best price, and then deciding from there, and you've lost a week and a half's time, when 1 to 2 vendors would have been enough to get the job done before you received all the quotes from the example where there's 10 vendors. So what is that cost? And it may not be in the quoting phase or the final bottom line part of it. It may be in the cost of wasting time and kind of an indirect expense with the more vendors. And the second part of that first key, and how to do it. So for lesser wait times, set up appointment confirmation schedule, or you can purchase software for appointments and scheduling. Again, like many offices have Outlook as their email. So again, sharing calendars, seeing who is available when, setting blocks of time associated with the patient, stress the importance of keeping those times. So if it's a 20-minute visit or a 30-minute visit, really harping on the importance of keeping it to 30 minutes or to 20 minutes per the schedule. If purchasing software to set up appointments necessary, pull the trigger and train the employees. So again, this new software is going to be new for at least a few people. So expecting it to just plug it in, upload it, and send people on their way is an unreasonable expectation. And there's going to be some time to train, and there's going to be some frustration and some bugs, and not everyone's going to pick it up right away and start using it effectively. And before you know it, your wait times are down. And there might be an increase to wait times just because people are trying to figure out this. But once they have it figured out, that's when the reduction comes. And again, the how to do it for more vendors, compare options to competitors, including cost, benefits, and value. So again, just getting that pricing from multiple sources, comparing quality of work, response time. So sometimes it's not just about the cost in the bottom line. If someone can do it for 1 or 2% more, but they're going to get it done in 2 days sooner, that time savings is what can become important rather than the saving the initial $100 to $200 type thing. So an owner can get, in our case, if an owner can get a tenant in, sooner than later, that owner is going to be happier. The realting company is going to be happier. We're going to be happier, and it's kind of a cycle of everyone's getting what they're wanting, even if the more expensive initial cost is accepted. So again, the vendor is dependability and reliability can be an indirect savings that makes up for the higher bottom line cost. So the second key, the believe it'll work. This is going to be regarding the lesser wait times. Believe the new software will help in scheduling and setting appointments. Again, not just buying something, plugging it in, knowing it's not going to work because no one's going to know what's going on, and kind of wasting that expense. You really have to put your belief and effort behind it to really get the change implemented and to really get your team on board and make them realize the importance of this and how it's going to affect not only the overall bottom line of the organization, but affect their job, making it easier for them, and really get into their playing with their emotions in terms of getting buy-in and trust from them. So not only you believe it works, but all of a sudden your team starts to believe it'll work. And then for more vendors, believe the value is there for the owner. So again, with this, bottom line, why are we going with the more expensive contractor when you're going to have a tenant in your place 2 days earlier, which guarantees you the full month's amount of pay, rather than prorating and kind of losing money on the back end trying to save it initially. So again, the value of knowing someone's going to be on time, knowing they're going to get the work done in 2 days, it's not going to get pushed back, and depending on them for future projects has value that is, again, indirect to a project, but you have to make them aware of that value that cannot necessarily be calculated through pricing or through an invoice. So again, really pushing that value that's not necessarily a number, more of a cost savings down the line, getting someone in earlier and getting more money for a tenant that's going to be there anyways. And again, seeing the value for lesser wait time, so greater patient satisfaction. I mean, who likes to wait? You think of a DMV or a post office, and you're just kind of waiting in line, twiddling your thumbs, waiting for your number to be called. No one likes to be in that situation. And you're getting more production from the staff and keeping them busy, and not necessarily to the point of overworking them or creating deficiencies on the back end because they're so busy trying to get people in and out of rooms. It's just keeping them active and involved in the day-to-day, where it's again getting them realizing that the schedule is important, that keeping others, again, accountability, which is going to come up later in this presentation, it is important for seeing the value and kind of getting everyone on board with the, seeing that lesser wait times is more than just making money for someone else that they never see. It's important to their daily activities as well. And then seeing the value for more vendors, so there will be a lower cost option for owners. Some owners want the cheapest, just go with that one, whatever's the cheapest. While others may want, again, the next bullet, the more varieties of the vendors apply to a broader audience. So some may want favor quality over cost. Some may favor getting it done in a day rather than 2 days, which may come at a higher cost just because someone's working longer hours and overtime's involved and that kind of thing. So again, just getting these owners enough options to where it's not just about price, and they have again a variety of people to choose from, that they can feel comfortable with the decision that's made. And the fourth key for all of this is getting support from your community. And this community isn't necessarily the surrounding neighborhoods or the city that the hospital is in, or the county that these residents are in. It's more your internal staff, the colleagues, even friends and family. When you've had a rough day, and just making a phone call to somebody can kind of make you realize that all this pain and heartache is going to be worth it at some point. So just kind of reaching out when things are difficult, and you just need someone to reassure you that this is the way to go. You've done the research, you've done the hard work in terms of the gathering the data and believing it will work and showing why it will work. And now you just need that little bit extra support to keep you going when things don't really seem to be going your way. So get support for your community to just get you through the times that aren't necessarily the easiest, when there's obstacles in your way and you need to reach out and ask a few questions, and all of a sudden you learn something, and that obstacle doesn't seem so daunting anymore. So problem number 2 we're going to discuss is lack of accountability. I'm sure no one's ever experienced this. Finger pointing and avoiding blame are features of flawed project management. When times are good, everyone is winning. When times are difficult, the blaming and passing the buck become the theme. So again, this idea of finger pointing, it's someone else's fault that X, Y, and Z is occurring, and it's definitely not my fault. It's one of those kind of things where it's going wrong. We know that, but it's not because of me. It's because of everybody else. So the lack of accountability is definitely an issue. So knowing what to do again for a key. And here are 3 ways to kind of start to create accountability. So take ownership of yourself. This is, again, whatever your hands are on and your fingerprints are on, making sure you're taking accountability for what you're doing, not necessarily worrying about what others are doing or how they're trying to sabotage your work. It's more putting your name on it, providing the tools for success, making sure that everyone has the ability to do their job and do it well. Otherwise, someone's going to come up with an excuse as to, I didn't have this in time, and I need a program, or I need this software or this hardware, or I couldn't get a hold of this person because I didn't have their contact information type thing. It's, again, giving them the tools for them to succeed. And thirdly, continuous feedback. So not just waiting for quarterly reports or biannually or annual review type situation. It's giving them the hourly, maybe a morning, noon, and night type of feedback throughout the day. So people are knowing that they're doing a good job, need something to work on, and just kind of keeping them abreast of the situation as the day goes on, not 3 months later when everything's wrapped up and here's what you could have done there, and why didn't you tell me when I was messing it up in the situation? And you're kind of hindsight 2020. So again, giving that continuous feedback. And the second part of that key, knowing how to do it. So again, taking ownership of yourself. Become responsible for your piece of the puzzle. If it is not going well, admit it. So again, just putting your name on what your task is, creating the accountability within yourself, not relying on someone else to put your name on the board and put your send you the email, and you're being proactive in this situation and taking ownership and responsibility for what you're doing and being accountable. So if something isn't working, admit it's not working and don't stop there. I mean, continue to find ways that it is working, and again, start to build that positive action as opposed to just throwing your hands up in the air saying this isn't going to work and you're done with it kind of thing. So putting your name on it's definitely gonna help you yourself take responsibility for what you're doing. And then provide the tools for success. So give them the tools necessary to complete their task you're asking of them. If you're asking them to contact vendors for invoicing, make sure they have the information at their fingertips. So if there's any confusion during the communication, someone can quickly look it up and finish what they started. If the tools are not available, what should have been a 5-minute phone call turned into multiple phone calls and emails amongst multiple parties. So again, give them the tools so they can take responsibility. And don't set people up for failure. I've seen some managers go, hey, make this phone call and find out this information, and meanwhile they had the information the whole time and they just could have told the person and gave them, again, the tool or the information to move forward and turn a 10-minute crazy, no one knows what's going on, into a 10-second, here's the information, here's how to get what you're looking for. So not only providing the tools for success, but let's avoid setting people up for failure. And then giving continuous feedback. So check in, give suggestions, and reward for a job well done. Everyone enjoys a good pat on the back and a job well done. Recognition for good can translate to the opposite. If you get praise that assumes responsibility to the individual, accountability is built in with recognition. So again, if you're seeing that someone is, doing a good job following up with vendors or proposals, or they're doing a really good job on whatever this new implementation that we're trying to get forward, and they really believe it's going to work, and they're showing they know what to do and how to do it, and let them know that they're a good example of what you're looking for, rather than maybe nitpick a place where they could have done better. And again, checking in is just going to make you a better manager, where you're going to have more updates and more information as to what's going on, and you're going to be in the loop more. By giving continuous feedback, you're benefiting by, again, having the information be more active, where it's not an end of the day a follow-up that you might not receive till the next morning, and you missed out on a whole day's worth of production that occurred, and you kind of don't know what's going on when you get to the office the next day, because your last second email asking everyone what's going on or what they need went unresponded to, because it was end of the day and people are already packed up. So again, this continuous feedback is going to help ahead of a PMO stay on top of what's going on, and both parties will be more informed. The second key would believe it'll work. Take ownership of yourself. Taking ownership of yourself creates an environment where the responsibility runs downhill. Again, leadership runs downhill. Saying and doing are two different activities. You could say be accountable, and actively being accountable has a greater positive impact on those around you. So again, kind of instead of do as I say, not as I do, you're going to be leading by example. And when people see you, falling on the sword for something that happened, they're going to be more willing to step up and put their name on things and start to be accountable. And again, it all starts at the top. So the second you start to take ownership, that's going to reflect on those around you. And believing it will work provide tools for success. If you give your team the tools for success, there's one less reason for finger pointing and excuses. So that they can't rely on you didn't give them this, or they don't have that, or I was waiting on this phone call, when here the whole time they have the call, the cell phone number, and there's multiple ways to get a hold of somebody if necessary. So again, giving them the tools for success, not only whether it's a hardware or a software, but also information is also part of this tool that you're giving your team to again become more accountable for what they're producing. Believing it will work to give continuous feedback. Continuous feedback allows everyone to stay on top of their responsibilities and change in real time. So again, just everyone's being more involved. It's going to make you a better manager. It's going to make them a better team member. It's going to create a quicker feedback loop, meaning that issues should become resolved sooner, because everyone, it's not going to be so isolated and together. Again, these quarterly reviews and maybe every 6 months or annual is too long a time to let an issue fester, or to get face to face with somebody that's having issues. It's time to change it now, in the moment, when the problem is right in front of them, rather than 2 months later when details can be lost or forgot about, and it becomes a he said, she said type situation, where again, this continuous feedback loop is going to give you that immediate response that's going to benefit both parties. So seeing the value in creating accountability. So accountability allows your team to take chances they otherwise would not, because they have to answer for the results. If it is positive, they receive recognition. If it is negative, everyone learns. So when changing, someone will have to put some skin in the game and take a risk. Putting your name on the risk creates instant accountability and responsibility. If you say you are taking over a task and that task doesn't get completed, the buck stops with you. Your reputation starts to precede you and trust falls apart. So again, if you start to put your name on things and saying you're going to do something and you don't do it, that reputation is going to start to precede you, and people are going to recognize that you're someone that maybe knows what to do and how to do it. And you might believe it'll work, but the value isn't there because you're the value is diluted because you're not following through. So again, this and the value in putting your name on it is it gives people an opportunity to shine. There might be a team member that needs a kick in the rear every once in a while, and saying they're going to do this and we're depending on you for this is maybe something that gets them to the next level of their progression in their career. So you just turn someone that's an average worker into an above average worker because you put their name on a task and made them accountable, and that was kind of the little push over the edge that they needed to get to that next level. And lastly, getting that support from your community again. So during all this, it's, again, all this change and creating accountability is a very big overview of an ideal. So again, you're going to need the support. It's not going to happen overnight. People are going to go from pointing fingers to being accountable just because you put your name on a task and all of a sudden they're living up to it. So again, you're going to need support from senior managers and team members and even from within. So again, it might be difficult for yourself to put your name on something and really step up to the plate and go, I am responsible for this, and we're moving forward with whatever change we're trying to implement. And you kind of need to dig deep within yourself and realize you personally have the strength to get through this, and then maybe that'll carry down to your team members. And if you feel you don't, you can always rely on these other team members or senior managers to go to and ask for advice during difficult times. So again, just realizing that there are going to be obstacles and bumps in the road, and if relying on yourself has only got you so far. Again, there's other people you can reach out and speak to, and realize that this change isn't just all on your shoulders. It's up to problem number 3 we're going to discuss is communication. Project managers provide direction at every step. Failures of communications lead to delays, unexpected project costs, and additional items along the way not originally agreed upon. So again, some scope creep is kind of involved in that not originally agreed upon category. So knowing what to do for communication. That says create accountability. Well, act like that isn't there. To increase communication, have a script or template. So when you are dealing with, email is a popular form of communication. Have scripts and templates, and even for phone calls, if you're cold calling or reaching out to owners that need a little more structure to the phone call. It's not have a script in mind where you're hitting bullet points or you're you're reading directly from a sheet of paper, or in case an email, you're just copying and pasting, changing a few details and sending it. Ask questions. So asking questions is a good way to involve yourself in a conversation where you're actually caring about the answers. And again, not only just asking the questions, but also listening to the answers, that third part there, where it's, instead of just asking questions to then answer it yourself or to get to something, see what that answer is, and it could lead you in a direction that you didn't see coming. And now you have information that you didn't know before, and you can use that in the future. And how to do it. So for having a scripted template, emails can have templates for every situation. So if you're dealing with an owner, you have one way of speaking to them. If you're dealing with a vendor, you have another way of communicating. If you're emailing back and forth with team members, there may be a structure to those emails. And again, even phone calls can have scripts. So you're making sure you're getting all the information out and also receiving the information when they answer. And the how to do it for asking questions. Asking questions shows interest and keeps you engaged in the topic. So if you're asking good questions, that means you're paying attention to the answers. That means you're showing interest in what that responder is discussing. If you're just asking questions that are going to lead you to your answers, or the person is talking to you and all of a sudden you respond with something totally unrelated, and that's going to show the answer of the questions that obviously this person isn't listening, so why am I sharing information and kind of wasting my breath and time? So again, asking questions is a good way to stay engaged in the conversation, and a good way to keep that answer of the question sharing more information, because you're interested in what they're saying. And listen. I mean, it's a pretty simple concept, yet difficult to do sometimes. So don't interrupt. So if someone's going on a long tangent, and there might be a nugget of information in there that, again, you didn't necessarily ask about, but they're just kind of rambling and talking, and before you know it, they've told you some things that may be above and beyond what you expected, and you can use that to your advantage, not in a blackballing way or anything of that sort, but in a okay, now you kind of have a little nuance as to how that person operates. Or don't listen to respond. So a lot of people, I think, ask a question, listen to the first few words, and start to generate a response in their head as to how they're going to top this story, or how they're going to come out looking good during this conversation, instead of just kind of really listening to that response and kind of generating more questions based on that, rather than generating their next story to tell. And believing it will work. So again, the combination of scripts and templates, asking questions and listening will improve the communication amongst your team and stakeholders. So for this, emails, a lot of things are skimmed. Some people may not even read past the subject line before they start to respond. So having these scripts and templates in place is going to help the receiver of the message know where things are located. So if they know, here's where the location is, here's where the address is located, here's where the price is usually located, here's where the scope is usually located. They have the ability to scan the email quickly, getting all the pertinent information, and sending a response. So, again, scripts and templates not only saves the sender time in developing an email, but also allow receiver to skim quickly to get the pertinent information. again, asking questions and listening to the answers is just going to keep you engaged in the topic, and maybe getting it, these little nuances of information that you can use to again better communicate with people. Some people, you ask a 2-word question and they go on for 15 minutes, while others you can ask a long-winded question and get a yes answer. So learning those things and how to communicate with individuals is going to improve that overall communication. And again, seeing the value in having a script or a template. As discussed, the message is standard information located in the same spots. So, this allows the receiver to skim the email, take a minute or two. It could be an entire 1-page thing with bullet points and bold words and italicized words and underlined things and highlighted things. And, those highlights and bold words could be 10% of the overall message, but that's the heart of the message that you're trying to deliver. So having these scripts and templates in place saves you time by sending it, and saves the receiver time reading it. Again, the value in asking questions is you get answers. It's a pretty simple 1 + 1 = 2 kind of view on asking questions, but and these answers can lead to more questions, and more questions lead to more answers. So again, this sort of domino effect of asking one question can get you much more information than you bargained for, and again, you can use that to your advantage, and continuing to ask good questions gets you good answers. So it not only improves your ability to ask the question, but also improves your ability to receive answers. And again, improving your ability to ask questions is going to heighten your listening skills. And when you listen, people are going to begin to tell you things they may otherwise bypass because you don't listen. So if someone can really tell that they're taking in your information and you're impacting their day positively by explaining a story or two, and they're going to keep telling you stories, and you're going to keep getting good examples of how to handle things in the future, and all you might ask them to begin with was, how's your day going? A simple little question with the intent on listening to the answer and discussing further can bring about these interesting little tidbits that again you can use for yourself and start to maybe influence others based on listening to these answers. And again, getting support from your community, stakeholders, owners, sponsors, team members. Communication with them is going to improve your relationship with these specific group of people. So the more you're improving your communication with the stakeholders, the more they're willing to work with you. Again, owners and sponsors, they're going to want to know details, and by you asking questions to other people, you're going to have those answers for them. And again, team members, you can always rely on those that have intimate knowledge of the change that you're trying to implement, and those that are just as involved with the change or project that you've kind of taken ownership of, and they are there's someone to rely on too, just because maybe you're the superior to them, or you have who knows how many people working for you. Doesn't mean that information direction can't necessarily flow upwards towards you. You don't have to know everything. So again, reaching out to these people and communicating with them, and again, asking questions and listening is going to not only improve communication, but give you a better idea of how people work and the most effective way to use their time. And the final problem we're going to discuss is stakeholder engagement. So a disinterested team member, client, CEO, or vendor can destroy a project. So you know, some examples of a stakeholder that may be disinterested or disengaged, and that's going to really put a hurting on a project. So it's important to keep them engaged. So know what to do. Take an analysis of the stakeholders. So bringing an attitude of positivity, encouragement, and commitment. So people want to be a part of something special. If you drone on about plans and specs, good chance of driving interest into the project, or good luck driving interest in the project. I mean, you can have all the facts and charts and everything, but if the delivery isn't there, it's going to be tough to engage that audience and engage those stakeholders and feeling good about what they're about to undertake. However, if you tell stories and connect emotionally with the stakeholders, they'll be more inclined to step up and do whatever they can. Again, this positivity, encouragement, and commitment are connected qualities. So really bringing that, again, believing is going to bring about that positivity, and you're going to be encourage them to get involved and be a part of it. Show that you're committed to this project and how it's going to help surrounding communities or whoever the target audience of the product or service is. And how to do it. So again, this analysis of stakeholders. So first, you got to identify who they are and what their needs are. If you don't know who they are, it's kind of hard to analyze their nuances and what they need and how to handle them in conflict. And also defining relationships between stakeholders. Not all of them may get along, and it's important to have those boundaries and constraints involved with them, where don't put these two on a project or these organizations together because they've had issues in the past, and it's just going to continue to occur, and avoid it at all costs type thing. So again, knowing these relationships and how to best use them to your advantage. Strengths and weaknesses of each. Again, knowing who does what well will help put people in positions to succeed. And again, knowing their weaknesses, where you're not putting people in positions to fail. So again, if someone's in our case, if someone's really good at hanging drywall, or someone's really good at landscaping, I'm probably not going to have a landscaper hang drywall kind of thing. It's again, one of these things of a general contractor says they can do everything. Well, there's definitely going to be some strengths to what they do, and there's going to be some things that they're not so good at. So again, knowing what they can do well is going to not only suit them better to get a job well done, but it's going to improve our ability to manage projects and get things done to the owner's liking. So believing it will work. Stakeholder mapping. So see your information and its accuracy when applying it. So again, you're continuing this analysis into the practical side of things, where not just asking, hey, are you good at painting? It's actually seeing that, the results of their painting project and how long it took them, and owner satisfaction, and again, making adjustments. So similar to that feedback loop, team members should kind of create a feedback loop with the vendors as well and the stakeholders to give a more refined list of their nuances and how they work, and getting a better idea of relationships and who to contact for what issues. You know, there might be a sales department, a scheduling department, a repairs department. You know, there might be just a general station. You know, there could be 4 different people you can contact. Well, knowing who to contact when is going to be beneficial to you. So again, just knowing again who to contact and that accuracy of the information and putting that to the test throughout time is going to make that list up to its full potential. And again, seeing the value in mapping stakeholders and analysis, and knowing the nuances of stakeholders saves time and communication. So again, back to that, there may be 3 people to contact at one organization. Each one might do scheduling, repairs, and replacements. You know, it's important to talk to the right person regarding what your situation is, so you can be best served as soon as possible. And then you start to begin to answer questions before they are asked. So you start to get a feel for what these stakeholders are looking for, and you can start to again create these templates and scripts that already have these canned answers in there, or at least canned bullet points for people to fill in the answers, knowing that an owner doesn't care about price. You can put that in a certain location and highlight the quality factor, or knowing that someone does again painting very well. You can kind of highlight their those skills up front and kind of leave the lesser skills either off or lower on the list. So again, just kind of creating these nuances and really honing them down is going to save you time in the communication, but also these questions are going to get answered before they're even asked, where we already know that you've dealt with the situation before. Here's the best way to go about it, and there's no doubt in your mind that this is the way to go. Again, these positive, compelling actions are going to be set in stone by the time you're getting these nuances honed. And again, getting support from your community. Sometimes it just takes asking a stakeholder how they want to receive their information. Some like phone calls, some like texts, some like emails. Some don't want to be contacted at all unless it's emergency or something major. You know, there's a lot of different nuance to stakeholders, and it might just take a conversation to ask them and how they best go about it. Or maybe a senior manager has dealt with it in the past, and you can ask them, how do I deal with this when a particular issue comes up, and they'll have an answer, and you add it to the list. And again, adding to that nuance list to get these stakeholders engaged and seeing how they want to be engaged. Some maybe don't, and you just kind of give them information as it comes in and as needed, and others really want to be involved and take a little more time to get that message to them. And there's just a lot of nuance to stakeholders. So again, seeing how they want the information may just be a question of how do you want the information, and that's again getting the support from the community with that. So again, to summarize the 4 keys to positive, compelling action. First is a 2-parter. So you need to know what to do, and then you need to know how to do it. The second key is believing it will work. Third key is going to be seeing the value. And then again, that 4th key is getting the support from your community. So no one said it will be easy. So again, getting the support and making obstacles seem a little less daunting. And now a little self-promotion. So for more ways to compel action, I have a book that is available. It is called The Entrepreneurial Project Manager. It's available at crcpress.com. If you use the promo code FLR40 at checkout, there's a 20% discount. And if you're not sure, you can go to my website, sign up for the newsletter, and receive a free excerpt to give you a little taste of what to expect. And now a little homework for you guys. I would like to know, what are some of your best strategies to compel positive action? So I gave you 4 of my keys and 4 situations where they can be implemented. I would like to know if you guys have any suggestions for me. At the bottom there is my email address, entrepreneur@gmail.com. And I do respond to all of them, and I hope to hear from many of you as to what your best strategies are. And now time for questions.
Chris, thank you for that amazing presentation.
Thank you.
You know, those 4 keys were so important, and I think that it's a great framework for people to use and assess all kinds of problems, all challenges that they face. And you know, based on what you suggested, based on that framework, what I wanted to ask you was, what are the best ways to make others believe that it will work, right? So one of the frameworks that one of the keys that you suggested was that you must believe that it will work, right? You have to have that vision, and you have to have not necessarily data or support to make sure that you believe in it. But how do you convince others? What are some of the best strategies that you think that would help you make others believe in it as well?
So the best strategy for me is I was reading a book, 12 Rules for Life by Dr. Jordan Peterson, and one of the chapters was labeled "Tell the Truth, or at least don't lie." So I think when in your belief, you cannot have this grandiose idea that this is definitely the way to go because there's no other option. There's no way this will fail. You know, again, telling your team these things that they know are, whether they're half truths or, you know, a lie is kind of a harsh word, but again, to just tell the truth, and if you don't do that, at least don't lie to them based on how you're seeing this play out. You know, again, your vision shouldn't be you know, you're going to land on Mars kind of thing. It should be very practical, very step by step. Here's why I think, you know, it's kind of explain why you believe this, and people still may not necessarily be on board, but then that's an opportunity to again get that proof of concept and show that you know, that there are techniques to, you know, get more vendors more effectively, or decrease wait times, or, you know, some of the examples used in the presentation where, you know, lying to your team is going to be a good way to get them to not buy into what you're saying. So whether you are telling the truth or just not lying, I think is a good way to establish belief with your audience.
Thank you, Chris. I have one more question for you, Chris. You know, we talked about 4 issues that usually haunt PMOs, right? I have a few others, but let's just pick one. let's pick one. Let's say, you know, one of the issues that PMOs usually faces is, you know, incorrect perceptions on the value of a PMO or the possibilities of what a PMO can do for them. If you were to take those 4 keys, the 4 keys that we just talked about today, how would you, you know, within a couple of minutes, explain how we could tackle down this specific issue using these 4 keys.
So the first part of the first key is know what to do. So you're going to have to show the difference in having and not having. So what is the benefit of having one? So I know the perception may be, why do we need this? What does this do? And again, this is the presenting the facts part, the telling the truth, the not lying. The audience needs to know that you know, and that this is a solution to a problem they know they didn't have. And how to do it, it's going to be pointing the efficiencies solved by a PMO. So what problems are being witnessed, and then how a PMO can better those. So in my case, a property manager, you could be, it's almost like, why are you guys involved? Shouldn't the realty company be involved? Like, well, we make it a streamlined process, less people to deal with. You're getting, vendors that we're recommending through our expertise at a good cost, and they're dependable. Again, kind of pointing out those indirect benefits that aren't necessarily a bottom line feature it's going to save you $1,000 a week for 10 years. It's just, projects are going to get done on time. There is a benefit there that may not be realized through an accounting practice. And believing it will work. So you're going to have conviction with your words, and kind of tap into their emotions, letting them know that a PMO is here to help. It's not here to processes and make you fill out more paperwork just for the sake of filling it out. There's a purpose behind this, and by implementing one, or again, showing the value or the possibility of having one, it's going to make your life easier. And who doesn't want that kind of thing? And seeing the value in one, again, the using the scarcity of time as an influencer. If implementing these processes takes a little while on the front end, it's going to save you more time on the back end. That time is one of the few non-renewable resources. So once it's gone, it's gone. And again, using that to kind of influence people to realize that this might be a lot of work up front to establish one, or might be a lot of work in the beginning years of one that may be trying to get established. The back end is going to be save on time. And again, the cost reduction is hopefully another aspect of it, where having more efficient and effective processes is going to make that bottom line look a little better, and have a little more direct accounting inspired value, as opposed to just it's going to save you time and you're going to be happier. There's a little more, here are the hard facts and numbers to that. And again, not exaggerating those to make it seem like this is the only way to go. But again, just putting that here's a very clear benefit. And again, using your community for support. So if you're trying to establish one, there's a lot of pushback. Again, the incorrect perception portion of this question is, kind of details that pushback that you're going to get. And, PMOs exist. So, it could be a reach out to one that are currently established and running effectively, and have probably gone through similar issues that you're going through now. And again, using that community support to ask questions, get answers, not be afraid to reach out. And I think people want to share information, especially when it's proven successful. So just finding those people that are willing to yeah, send me an email with 4 or 5 questions. I'll get back to you when I can. And we know exactly what you're going through. Here's how we did it. It doesn't mean that it's going to work for you, but here's just kind of a direction you can go in for establishing one or getting one over an initial hump kind of thing. So again, I think the community aspect of all of this is really important, whether it's your team, your organization, or colleagues in different organizations. It's reaching that out and building your own kind of little community of superheroes that can your own little Justice League of PMO heads to make everything run a little bit smoother. So yeah, I think that'd be at least a decent first approach. Again, you're gonna probably have to run through it a few more times because perceptions are difficult to change, but I think that'd be a good way to implement these 4 keys and continue to implement them as challenges continue to come up.
That's fantastic, Chris. I mean, perception is such a big thing, and especially in the world of PMOs, because in organizations that usually don't have PMOs before, or it's the first time that they're setting it up, a lot of people within the organization may already have perception around, oh, okay, you know what, my colleague at this company, this other company did this, so it must work. It must work the same way for us. Or I have another colleague at some other company who had this sort of a PMO, and maybe that's exactly what a PMO should do, and that's what I expect out of it. So those are some issues and some challenges with perceptions. I think the bigger challenges with perception is when PMOs have failed within an organization and a resurrection needs to happen with the PMOs. I think there's a lot of burden for that next PMO leader coming in to really not just understand what the real reasons for the PMOs, for the new PMOs should be, but also trying to erase the perception and convince the stakeholders and the sponsors that yes, you guys had a bad time. It was because of these reasons. But right now, we're going to use this approach, and we should be focusing on the PMOs to do A, B, C, and D. So I think just getting over that hump is a massive challenge for PMOs resurrecting PMO leaders resurrecting PMOs within organizations. And I thought that's a good one to tackle through the 4 keys that you had. So thank you so much for that, Chris. Really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out and participating in the summit. And for everyone listening out there, Chris just mentioned his book. Please go take a look at it, The Entrepreneurial Project Manager, which is available at crcpress.com. And feel free to go ahead and get a free excerpt at entrepreneur.wpengine.com. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for being a part of the summit.
Thank you for having me.